Tonight, growing concern some states are reopening too soon. Georgia just hours away now, despite bipartisan backlash. President Trump reversing course, now saying he strongly disagrees with the governor. In Las Vegas, controversy over the mayor's calls to reopen casinos. Our exclusive access inside Caesar's Palace, eerily empty, and another meat plant shutting down. Are we headed for a shortage? Also, the staggering new unemployment numbers, 26 million Americans out of work in just 5 weeks. Desperation mounting, billions more in relief money for small businesses on the way as Ruth's Chris announces it's giving the money it got back. The stunning results from the first widespread antibody testing, what it reveals, a hidden outbreak infecting millions. How long was it here before anyone knew? The fears tonight of a second wave.
My fear is that people get out there too quickly and too many people get sick. What
Americans are saying about when they'll feel safe going back to public places like gyms, restaurants, and hair salons. And the top player in tonight's NFL draft, his moving message about a struggle impacting his hometown and millions of other American families in this pandemic.
This is NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt.
Good evening, everyone. The push from some quarters to reopen the country is running up against some hard facts tonight. The death toll still inching upward, now over 48,000. But at the same time, unemployment numbers have risen to numbers worse than the Great Depression. Tonight, Georgia calculating it's better to send people back to work, even as President Trump questions whether their plans to reopen tomorrow go too far. Our team is covering a lot of ground tonight. We start with Blaine Alexander.
While a few states are hours away from opening their doors, tonight the governor of Illinois says he is extending his stay-at-home order for another month.
We need to keep going a little while longer to finish the job.
A different story in Georgia, where Governor Brian Kemp is doubling down on his move to start reopening even after bipartisan backlash. Tweeting, "Our next measured step is driven by data, and we will continue with this approach to protect the lives and livelihoods of all Georgians." It comes after a rare rebuke from President Trump.
I disagree strongly with his decision.
Blasting his political allies' move to allow hair and nail salons, barbershops, bowling alleys and more to reopen tomorrow, despite the state not meeting White House guidelines for a 2-week decline in cases.
I love those people that use all of those things, the spas and the beauty parlors and barbershops, tattoo parlors. I love them. But they can wait a little bit longer, just a little bit, not much, because safety has to predominate.
One new model shows Georgia is set to hit its peak late next week, days after businesses open their doors. Isabella S. is leading a drive-by protest tomorrow against the new measures.
We can't pay taxes if we're dead. We can't pay taxes if we're sick and we have no income.
But the move to reopen restaurants is a big relief for Salem Makloff. He says his 4 locations are ready to go. When your customers come in, what will they notice that's different?
It's going to be a new normal, basically. The table is going to be spaced out. We'll be using paper menus, disposable paper menus. We'll be using disposable glassware.
And more states to follow. In Tennessee and Ohio, some businesses start reopening May 1st. And tomorrow, openings in Alaska and Oklahoma, where spas, salons, and pet groomers will see their first business in weeks. Some Oklahoma store owners are getting back to business with mixed feelings.
We're so excited to be open. At the same time, you know, you got that in the back of your head, that fear.
Oklahoma has seen 179 COVID-19 deaths, including, we learned today, 86-year-old Don Reed Herring, oldest brother of Senator Elizabeth Warren. Warren tweeting, "I'm grateful to the nurses and frontline staff who took care of him, but it's hard to know that there was no family to hold his hand or to say, 'I love you' one more time." In South Dakota, major changes ordered to get one of the state's biggest businesses back up and running. This Smithfield Foods plant in Sioux Falls has gone dark after more than 800 workers tested positive. Tonight, the CDC recommends increased distance between workers, spacing out lockers, and more plexiglass shields to reopen safely. While today, a Tyson plant in Indiana closed to test workers. One union says 25% of the nation's pork production is shut down. And now, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo is launching an investigation into nursing homes. NBC News has found nearly 11,000 deaths in nursing homes nationwide are linked to coronavirus.
They get paid to take care of a resident, and if they don't, we will take appropriate action.
a move to contain some of the nation's biggest hotspots. Blaine Alexander, NBC News, Atlanta.
I'm Steve Patterson in Las Vegas. Another day along an eerily empty strip representing millions in lost revenue. And inside Caesar's Palace, silence. We were granted exclusive access, rows of vacant slots, dark blackjack tables.
For nearly 54 years, Caesar's Palace has been operating around the clock, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. On a typical day, there'd be something like 50,000 people in here. And now, it sits empty.
I want our restaurants open. I want our small businesses open. I want our people back in employment.
Mayor Carolyn Goodman, who has no jurisdiction over the Strip, has repeatedly pressed for its swift reopening, but on CNN Wednesday didn't offer any guidance on how businesses could do that safely.
They better figure it out. That's their job. That's not the mayor's job.
Nevada has more than 4,000 confirmed cases of coronavirus and fewer than 200 deaths.
But hasn't it been because of social distancing that the numbers have been what they are?
How do you know until we have a control group? We offered to be a control group.
You're offering the citizens of Las Vegas to be a control group to see if your theory on social distancing works or doesn't work.
Wrong. Absolutely wrong. Don't put words in my mouth.
You just said we'll be a control group.
Excuse me. What I said was I offered to be a control group, and I was told by our statistician, you can't do that. We would love to be that placebo side so you have something to measure against.
Nigel Snellman, a server at the typically bustling Caesar's Palace, is out of work.
Everyone wants to reopen and get back to work and have the economy rolling again. But at this point, I think that would be reckless and just irresponsible.
Nevada Governor Steve Sisolak.
I am not going to allow our workers to be put in a position that they have to decide between their job and their paycheck and their life.
I agree with him 100%.
Caesars Entertainment CEO Anthony Rodio says while he's eager to open up, safety comes first.
What do you think reopening would look like for Caesars? I think what you'll see is social distancing in the casino, and by that I mean every other slot machine, 3 people at a table, maybe every other table.
But for an entire industry that never sleeps, this is uncharted territory, and no one wants to gamble with getting it wrong. Steve Patterson, NBC News, Las Vegas.
Those workers who have lost their jobs in Las Vegas, part of the staggering toll on the workforce, with another 4.4 million Americans filing for unemployment just last week. Jolene Kent has more on this.
Tonight, the number of workers devastated by unemployment continues to skyrocket.
The unemployment process for me has been really frustrating.
More than 26 million jobless claims have been filed since March. And it's hitting low-income workers especially hard. More than half say they or someone in their household lost a job or has taken a pay cut. Among the states hurting the most, Florida, where Derek Bailey applied for unemployment on March 17th. He says he still hasn't received any money.
That's very frustrating for someone like me who's always had a plan.
Lee Cox shares that frustration. She applied for unemployment in Ohio that same week. She lost both of her part-time jobs.
I would say I call anywhere between, 10 to 30 times a day. I don't have a very big safety net. I have minimal savings.
One problem plaguing many states, those decades-old computer systems simply overwhelmed. Connecticut now implementing a software fix they hope will clear out 6 weeks of backed-up unemployment claims. Small businesses are also waiting for financial help. Today, members of Congress, many wearing face masks and social distancing, debating the latest relief package in the House. Even with an additional $310 billion in the Paycheck Protection Program, some small businesses worry they'll miss out again after the first round allowed bigger restaurant chains with fewer than 500 employees per location to qualify.
We've still got businesses with 3 employees going after the same pool of money as those with 300. And I assure you, those big guys, they've got more expertise and manpower to get themselves into a program like this. So we could end up in the same situation. The money runs out and the little guy misses out.
Late today, after much public pressure, Ruth's Chris Steakhouse announcing it will give back its $20 million federal loan. Sweetgreen giving back its $10 million loan. This following Shake Shack earlier this week. Lester.
All right, Jolene Kent tonight. Thank you. This evening, stunning new insights on the spread of the virus. Researchers now say it was actually spreading in several cities long before we previously knew. Here's Miguel Almaguer with that.
The new study out of New York today confirming how quickly and unknowingly the virus can spread. Nearly 14% of the 3,000 residents randomly tested had COVID-19 antibodies, meaning they had the virus. With nearly 20 million people in the state, some 2.7 million New Yorkers may have already been infected.
They had the virus, they developed the antibodies, and they are now, quote unquote, recovered.
For some, the numbers, while staggering, aren't surprising. The hidden outbreak may have long been infecting Americans in plain sight in cities like San Francisco, New York, Boston, Chicago, and Seattle. Researchers at Northeastern say by mid-February, as the coronavirus crisis unfolded in China, San Francisco and New York had more than 600 unidentified infections. 2 weeks later, on March 1st, the CDC confirmed 23 cases in 5 major U.S. cities. But researchers say models suggest the true number of infections was likely 28,000.
We are in a situation now where the numbers of confirmed cases is still just the tip of the iceberg.
As the virus spread under the radar, the CDC began implementing airport screenings. The president then ordered a travel ban to China and later Europe. But researchers believe Americans were already dying from the virus, though doctors didn't know. Tonight, the family of an FDNY firefighter sharing their loss. Little J. Natalie Lasanta was just 1 week shy of turning 5 months when her family says she passed from complications of the coronavirus. A silent killer taking the most innocent of lives. Miguel Almaguer, NBC News.
Heartbreak upon heartbreak. We'll be back in 60 seconds with a question you and your family might be struggling with. Even if businesses reopen, how soon will you feel safe to go back in public? Next tonight, the growing concern about a second wave of COVID-19 infections this fall, as many Americans are concerned about lifting stay-at-home orders too soon during this current outbreak. Here's Tom Costello.
Tonight, as the world's health experts warn, a second wave of the coronavirus is very likely in the fall and winter. President Trump is downplaying those risks.
Now, if we have pockets, a little pocket here, then we're going to have it put out. It goes out, and it's going to go out fast. We're going to be watching for it. But it's all possible. It's also possible it doesn't come back at all.
But the nation's top health experts say that's unlikely.
We will have coronavirus in the fall. I am convinced of that.
A CBS News poll finds if stay-at-home orders were lifted, 48% say they would not return to public places until the outbreak is over.
Death. People dying is the greatest fear.
In Orange, Ohio, the Abramson family has been home for a month. Spencer and Hallie working from home, Leo home from college, Ollie and Max doing online schoolwork.
Yeah, kind of like bouncing off the walls, annoying them.
Staying at home is getting old, they say, but they're in no hurry to go back out.
What will it take for you to feel comfortable going back out again?
I don't know about my kids leaving the house. I don't know when that I'm going to feel safe for them to leave the house.
When people are allowed to leave home, Dan Simons, who co-owns Founding Farmers Restaurants in Potomac, Maryland, is already considering how to make customers feel safe.
I'm ready to have less tables. Maybe it's no seating at the bar. I can imagine where diners use their own devices to look at the menu instead of me handing the same menu to folks over and over. Totally contactless payment, no cash back and forth.
For now, he's focusing on takeout orders and feeding the employees he's laid off.
I laid off 1,100 people on March 16th, and it sounds like a data point, but it's not. That's 1,100. It's 1 plus 1 plus 1 and their families and their incomes. And so, we got to get people back to work, but we have to do it safely.
These are not easy decisions for business owners or families. Most Americans say the top priority right now should be staying home to slow the spread of the virus. Lester?
All right, Tom, thank you. In the search for solutions tonight, inside the clinical trial for a coronavirus vaccine and the volunteer who signed up after losing someone close to him. Here's Richard Engel.
The race is on for a vaccine, and Mike, his doctors asked us not to use his last name to protect his privacy, has already left the starting block. He and 11 others were recently injected with a trial vaccine at a lab in Kansas City.
I got a shot, so we'll see what happens.
Mike is a maintenance engineer at the lab complex doing the trials. He still lives at home with his family, but is under close medical observation for 28 weeks.
So your energy is good?
Yes, yes.
The vaccine in Mike's body is being produced by a Pennsylvania-based company called Inovio. Their approach is to inject part of the virus's DNA code to fool our bodies into thinking we've been infected for real and start producing virus-fighting antibodies.
I think we're very optimistic in our vaccine's ability to be safe and potentially effective.
The Gates Foundation gave $5 million to support the research.
A miracle therapeutic or the vaccine are the only thing that we'll be able to say, okay, we're back to normal.
Mike told us he was inspired to be an early volunteer after a friend died, he thinks, from COVID-19, and to help his family.
If this works out, and this trial that you're on,
when it works out.
When it works out, how are you going to feel then?
You hear everybody say this is the new normal. I don't want this to be the new normal. I want this to be an inconvenience, and then we can get back to normal.
Inovio is one of several companies around the world working toward a vaccine. Experts caution none of the approaches is guaranteed to work and carry risks, which is why so many safety checks are required before any potential vaccine is mass distributed. Lester?
All right, Richard Engel tonight. Thank you. Much more from Bill Gates with Savannah on an MSNBC special report tonight at 10 Eastern Time. Also tonight, the NFL draft getting underway, and the top player is being hailed as a hometown hero for calling attention to something impacting so many families in this pandemic, hunger. Here's Kerry Sanders.
Even before food banks were overwhelmed by Americans desperate to feed their families, this year's Heisman Trophy winner Joe Burrow used his acceptance speech to remind the nation there has always been hunger in America.
There's so many people there that don't have a lot, and I'm up here for all those kids in Athens and in Athens County that go home to not a lot of food on the table, hungry after school.
Burrow grew up in Athens, Ohio, right in Appalachia, where close to 1 in 3 people lives in poverty. When he spoke out, donations poured in. The Athens County Food Pantry got $650,000 in about a week, 5 years worth of contributions.
When people say hometown hero, that young man is truly a hometown hero, and he will remain a hometown hero forever. His name will be forever linked with serving his community and where he grew up.
At his old high school, coaches say the Bulldogs team captain was always aware what was happening off the field, too.
The humility and the gratefulness that he has for everyone that has kind of helped shape his journey it really endears you to Joe, and the people around here love that so much about him.
This is too cool, dude. He recently called the essential workers at the local Lowe's hardware store.
I just wanted to call and say thanks for all you're doing right now. We're all cooped up at home. You guys are out, working super hard for us.
Tonight, when sports-starved fans tuned into the NFL draft, Joe Burrow was the first pick. Watching at his parents' home in Athens on a webcam, a local hero rooting for his hometown. Kerry Sanders, NBC News.
What a terrific story. We're back in a moment with a deadly tornado outbreak in the middle of this pandemic and the new threat we're watching tonight. Tonight, at least 7 people are dead in a wave of tornadoes that hit us. People are obviously struggling with the pandemic. Our Morgan Chesky is in Texas.
Tonight, a tornado outbreak raking the South.
Yeah, it's a tornado moving ground.
In Georgia, a twister spawned by the very same system behind this deadly tornado, killing 2 in Oklahoma yesterday.
Wow.
That danger hit Texas, too. Near Houston, the town of Onalaska, struck by a tornado, leaving 3 people dead and injuring 30 others.
Meteorologists say the Onalaska tornado wasn't on the ground long, but when it was, it left behind an unmistakable trail of destruction.
shredding trees, lifting homes off their foundations, and leaving hundreds left picking up the pieces.
I knew what that sound was.
Kip Robbins and his family rode out the storm inside their home.
As a dad, you're always in control. I wasn't in control anymore.
Tonight, the rush is on to clean up, with even more storms coming. Morgan Chesky, NBC News, Onalaska, Texas.
We're back in a moment with a burning question a lot of kids are asking right now. Finally, we wanted to let you know that a new episode of Nightly News Kids Edition is available right now. In our latest episode, we explain just exactly what a vaccine is and how they can prevent us from getting sick. Plus, we received a bunch of great questions, including this one from Rosie.
You're supposed to be washing your hands at least for 20 seconds during COVID-19 or sing a song. What song do you guys sing?
Well, you're going to have to tune in to hear my song. Can you guess what it is? Probably not. Nightly News Kids Edition is available right now on the NBC News YouTube page, and it's also on NBCNews.com and NBC's new streaming service, Peacock. Well, for now, that's our broadcast. I'm Lester Holt. Please take care of yourself and each other. Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.